So what are we doing? We are answering questions about web design live. Okay, so throw in your questions in the comments and let's talk about web design. So first one, should I learn to code? That's a pretty broad one. And let's take it in relation to being a web designer. You can take web design a couple of ways. You can be a developer, you could be a designer, okay? And we're not really talking about developer, okay? Developer is probably beyond a designer. You're looking at a lot more of the code base, okay? Web design is probably easier to explain. It's a lot of the stuff you see on the website. You're picking colors and fonts and styles and spacings, whereas a developer will be doing a lot more of the logic. Okay, they might not ever touch the front end of the website. Okay, they deal with the back end. Okay, and a developer will deal things with like a lot of the database, okay, stuff where, you know, when you submit things on a website, where are they stored, how are they retrieved, how are they displayed, how do we negotiate logins and passwords and payment gateways. So that's more of a developer's world. Okay, a designer is doing a lot more of the aesthetic. You still have to code, okay, and you can get quite deep into the code side, the front end, front end side of it. Okay, but do you need to learn to code? As a designer, you don't have to these days. There are a lot of drag and drop web design programs. So if you're like a graphic designer who wants to take on more web design work, there is a pretty amazing space now where you can be a web designer and not actually touch the code. It's a really handy thing to learn. So if you do nothing other than my Web Essentials course, go do that because it'll help you, even if you just want to stay on the drag and drop WYSIWYG kind of thing, like Webflow or Elementor. Okay, those are the big popular ones. Squarespace, where they're doing all the hard work in the background, okay, all the coding, and you just changing stuff. But there's lots of times where you actually have to go and modify a little bit of the code, bit of the CSS, and it's really handy to know. But you can do it without it. If you're really scared of code and like don't want to touch it at all, you can take on web design jobs and use something like Wix, Squarespace, Webflow, Elementor to do the web design. You don't have to touch it. So yes, that's that question. Should a graphic designer learn to code? That's up to you, I guess. Like, I found it really useful it depends. Like, I was doing a lot of my own work, so to turn away a web design job was bad because I needed all the work I could get. So taking on a bit of coding work was great. And what you end up finding is that I don't want to be a full-time developer engineer, okay, the big back-end stuff. What I want to do is design the look and feel, design the UX, okay, get the UX tested, okay. That's the kind of part that I really enjoy. So I take on jobs, even bigger jobs that I couldn't handle, knowing that I had a buddy, a friend, somebody else that I could go to help me do the development side. So I'd take on the job, the client would only deal with me, and I would do all the design work in something like Figma or XD. And once the client signed it off, I would then hand it over to the developer because it was beyond me. If it wasn't, it was just kind of like a brochure website, just had simple stuff. I could then go to something like, I could actually I could get a website kind of up for the basics with my basic coding or my understanding of my level of coding. And if I needed more, I could use a developer. So there was chunks where I could take on the whole job. Sometimes I needed a web developer to help me out. And you need to find that person. It could be through, friends of friends or through a Facebook group or through Upwork to help you out, take on those bigger jobs. But as a graphic designer, especially if you're a freelancer, I enjoy the web as well. If you hate the web, don't learn to code. Is web design profitable? It's highly employable, but there is a big scope of where it is. Okay, where the value comes is when you not only can understand code, but can work with a client. That's where your kind of pay goes from being, just managing a job, all those other things that are around the periphery of web design. Being able to code is really important. And if you're coding in a language that is quite unique and specific, that's in demand, then yes, you can get paid a lot. If you are working in a language that's very common, then you need other skills. You need to be able to kind of manage a team, manage a project, manage a timeline and Gantt charts and all sorts of other things to kind of raise up that level. Yes, it's profitable, but you can also be poor as a web designer. Is it easy to freelance as a web designer? Very. What software should I learn? Basically, in terms of web design, let's say we're looking at the kind of code side of design, so HTML and CSS and JavaScript. It doesn't matter. Pick the one that you like. The most common is probably VS Code. But there are plenty of other code editors out there to use. It's totally up to you which one you want to use, because the code's everywhere. The code's the same, and you use a tool to kind of adjust it. Unlike something like Photoshop or InDesign, where you need to learn Photoshop or InDesign for you to understand how to use the program. But when it comes to, say, coding a website, the code is the source of truth, and the editor, okay, the software that you use to create it, it's writing the same language. It just has different tools, different interface. So yeah, have a look at the different code editors, and maybe just look at the most popular ones, like top 5 popular code editors 2022. Do you use Dreamweaver anymore? I don't. I use VS Code when I'm coding, and why not Dreamweaver anymore? There's nothing wrong with it. Okay. The only trouble with Dreamweaver is that they don't seem to be doing much with the product. And for me, as an instructor, I want to be teaching the most important. It's like, there's nothing wrong with Dreamweaver. I love it. It's part of the Adobe suite. It's what some of my first courses are there. I've still got courses on it. I'm not giving up on it. It's more just, I need to deliver courses for like there's very few people using Dreamweaver as a code editor now. So I'm kind of teaching in VS Code because it's more popular. If I had my choice, I'd use Dreamweaver because VS Code is too big for me. It's like, it's a full-on development suite, and I don't need all of that stuff. So I'm kind of using 10% of it, whereas Dreamweaver had tools for me more as a visual person to pull stuff from Photoshop and stuff. So given my own devices, I would use Dreamweaver, but I'm using VS Code because it's popular, and I make courses for things that are popular. That makes sense? Yeah. Let's look. Alexandros. I watched your courses and videos, and they're truly amazing. Web design was a daunting prospect, but after these courses, I made my first steps. Thank you very much, Dan. Awesome. That's the kind of, if you are a little bit worried about doing, just go do the first few videos of the Web Essentials course. And there's a couple of videos that are free on bringyourownlaptop.com. Go check it out, because I do feel like I try and make it, like, I can't take you to be full-time developer like, Andreas, Alexandros maybe wants to be. Like he said, it's his first steps. And that's my role here, is to kind of give you the first steps, but I can't teach you. People want me to do a JavaScript course, and I'm like, I copy and paste JavaScript. Good. I can get it all in the right order. But I can't, I don't know it enough to teach you a kind of a really comprehensive course. So if you're looking to get into like an essentials course, I got that for you. If you want an advanced course, I'm not got that for you. DON Music, did this include design for mobile and app design? Could this be considered product design? Will this include design for mobile app design? So the course is aimed at web, okay, so mobile web and desktop web, so web on your computer and browsing on, say, Chrome on your phone or Safari, but not an app coding. Okay, we don't do any sort of native iOS or Android coding in this one. It's web design, not app design. And would this be considered product design? No, this is web design. There you go. Side designs. Do you do some 3D animation course? I don't yet. I kind of toyed with doing a Cinema 4D course, but just, it's very limited people want to use it in my world, in the kind of design world, and I'm not good enough on Blender. Adobe have bought some new 3D software tools, and they're pretty good, so I'll look at maybe doing something like that. If I get into them personally, I need to kind of really want to do it myself to learn it, learn it properly. Ahmed, are the certificates recognized worldwide? They are, to a degree that they're recognized as in I'm an Adobe certified instructor, so I'm official. I run an Adobe certified training school, okay, an AATC. They're not the Adobe ones. Adobe have their own certificates called Adobe Certified Associate certificates. Actually, this is not even Adobe course, so I get caught up in Adobe land. This is a web design course. There is no official body for learning VS Code. So yes, in the degree that I'm an official instructor, but no, as in that it's not like a Microsoft, because Microsoft runs, it's a Microsoft product, VS Code, and it's not a Microsoft specific accredited course that way. Megan, I've taken your UI UX Essentials course in XD. Now I am studying software development in college. Is this, so this will be right up my alley. Woohoo. Totally. Yep. Software development. Ooh, software development. So yeah, exactly. Like this is web development or web design. Software development is a different kind of coding thing, but yeah, if it's like the whole combination of UI, UX, and XD and web design, the Web Essentials course is perfect. You can become this like one-stop shop, and what you'll find is some of the most valuable UX designers that I work with understand code like enough that when they're designing, that they're not designing ourselves into things that we can't actually make or are really complicated to make. Or the developer's going to have like an aneurysm when he sees it or she sees it and goes, well, that's too hard. Why did you make this? And sell it into the client. Okay, so you can be very, you can be careful about what you actually present to the client and sell in something like XD or Figma. So that's super handy. And it makes the handoff to a developer, if that's where you're going, super easy if you understand a bit of code, because you can kind of understand what's easy, what's hard, what you can just leave them to do, and what they really need out of it, because you've done it before. So Bill Bandos, I got stuck on some things. For example, Jumbotron is not part of Bootstrap. You're right. So if you are on an older Dreamweaver course, I'm not sure if this is the Web Essentials course or the Dreamweaver course. Dreamweaver course is a bit old now, so it's using an old version of Bootstrap, and they don't have the Jumbotron anymore. Sorry about that. Yes, can we do both designer and developer? You can, a bit. I don't know anybody that's really good at design, like exceptionally design and exceptionally good developer. I know a few great developers who are okay at design and a few great designers who are okay at code. I'm not saying you can't. It's just tricky to probably, I don't know if it's like a whole like brain thing, you're either into the numbers or you're into the pixels. I don't think it's that. I just think you end up specializing and getting asked to do stuff like, and the more you do something, the better you get at it. But if you become the guy who helps somebody with coding, then you probably end up being a better developer. If you're the person who has a good eye for design, you end up doing that more. It could be tricky to split that, but you can do it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's very, very employable. You are what they would call a unicorn. Okay, you can do great design and great development, but most people that say they are delusional. I meet some developers and they're like, well, you can do both. You're like, okay, you can't. And then there's some designers who can copy and paste like me, who think they can code, who really can't, who can do enough, who can do enough to be a web designer, but not a developer. Okay, Mr. Creative, how long in years or months or days should it take us to complete? How much does it cost? How long does this course take? This one here, Taylor, can you throw it up? It's, can you check? Probably Udemy is the best place to check. It's probably about 10 hours long. So, but there's lots of projects and stuff to do as well. And there's a lot of you watching, doing it yourself. So it's not going to take 10 hours. It's probably going to take you 30 hours, How much does it cost? It's $12 for a month. If you can do it in a month, that's how much it costs you. If you want to take 2 months, that's how long it'll take you. It'll take $24 US dollars. There's a discount on Bring a Laptop for an annual. It's $84, so you save heaps if you want to sign up for the year. Plus you get all the help from our teaching assistants and me if you get stuck with any of your coding stuff. Me, and mainly Stefan. He's really good at helping people with the web stuff. He does amazing support there. Thanks, Mr. Creative. Okay, Grace. A lot of times I'm asked to create a site that the client can update themselves through something like WordPress. Can you design brochure sites with updating features that aren't built using WordPress? you have to use one of the other Webflow, Wix, something like that. There's like Dreamweaver had a function where you could do it, and it just doesn't work that good anymore. So yeah, you want to get around WordPress. If you want to get around WordPress but still use WordPress, think of something like Elementor, which is kind of like a thing that goes on top of WordPress. You don't have to get into the mucky bit of WordPress. I'll be doing a course on that soon, but no, you'll have to kind of pick one of the other systems, and they end up being a pay per month thing. So, you know, Webflow is a good one. Any other questions, throw them in to the comments. There's about 4 more. So if you've got a question out there live, throw it in the comments and I'll be answering in a sec. Ashley Khan, is there an industry standard for coding? No, it's just so broad that there's no like specific, it depends on what you're doing. Like if you are coding for some sort of like infrastructure specialist development thing, I don't know what it is. There's like certification you'll have to go through to be, to be approved. But it's out of my scope. I'm more in the kind of design side of stuff, and there's no kind of official accreditation. And like, you won't get a job with an official accreditation unless you're dealing with some really specific type of industry. Maybe it's I don't know, cybersecurity or payment gateway stuff. I don't know. But no, there's no like official stuff that I'm aware of. There might be if you are a developer. The course is 16 hours. That's how long the Web Essentials course. So it could take you 45 hours to do. So yes, not that I'm aware of. It's all about being good, okay, and having a good resume, having good references from other people, because that's what people are looking for. They're looking for help in a specific area, and you've got to be good at it, have good examples, good experience in it. That's what people are looking for more than an accreditation. Hey, Crystal, where's the red glasses? Oh, where are the red glasses? Where are the red glasses? Ho-ho! I happen to have these up here today. Yeah. You're welcome, Crystal. Alexandros, websites that you recommend for web design inspiration. I go to awards a lot when I'm looking for stuff. AWWW awards with 3 W's, .com.org, one of those. I really like it because often I'm not, like, looking for cool sites is pretty easy. You can find them on there as well, but they're really nice on their site because they'll do things like drop-down menu awards. And you're like, what? Because you're doing a drop-down menu. You can find stuff where kind of like interestingly designed things, or amazing footers, or carts, you know, shopping cart awards. And they just kind of like, there's just lots of like, breaks it down. That's what I really like about it. Medeus, man, you are awesome. Thank you for helping us as graphic designers. Good job. You're welcome, Medeus. Medeus, very welcome. Love to hear. Bill, can you do an update with her? I really want to complete the newsletter sign up form. I'll look into that. Aditya, your UX design course helped me skyrocket my career. Thanks a ton. You're so welcome. That's awesome. Messiah Edgar, for those writing code, do you teach the use of validation, testing, and debugging tools? That's kind of out of the scope of my course. You should definitely be using them. But my course is more the fundamentals of coding and less of the kind of, any sort of validation and debugging kind of out of the scope of this course, other than the easy kind of built-in kind of syntax error stuff. Alex. Hello, Dan. Hello, Alex. How well prepared are your students after they have taken your courses, and when they want to take Adobe certifications? It's a tricky one. If you want to do like Adobe Certified Associate, if you've done my Essentials, you'll probably be able to pass it. If you've done Essentials in Advanced, you'll definitely be able to pass it. If you want to do Adobe Certified Expert, which is the next level up, It's a real tricky one, and I find it hard to do. And I'm really nerdy about all of those programs, so I find it tricky, and I often have to do it twice because the first time I kind of do it, and then I'm like, oh, I didn't realize they're going to focus on this particular area, and then I have to go and reset it and pay. You don't have to pay twice, but you have to pay a little bit more. But if you want to do Adobe Certified Associate, which is my recommendation for anybody looking for an Adobe certification, yes, do the essentials, you'll probably be able to do it. Essentials and advanced, definitely be able to do it. And yeah, I don't do any prep courses specifically for it. I used to do it at our kind of physical training rooms. I might look into that, into kind of doing prep for it. It's a tricky one because you don't want to give away the answers, but you want to get people ready for it. Yeah, that's something I might look into. Yash, is CSS really hard? I don't have any problem learning it, but I have many issues when reordering all the divs, flexboxes. Is it really hard? It's more practice. It's like those really hard bits of reorganizing it. Those are the bits. Think of them less of like finding it really hard to do, as in those are the real learning bits. Like you can learn what they do, but putting them into practice and them all breaking and then figuring out where they should go and what should not go where is the real learning for it. So yeah, it's tricky, but it's kind of, there's no way of skipping it. Like I couldn't do a course where you could skip all that stuff because there's fundamentals, which I teach, but then there's doing it and really working it out and then mastering it because you're like, that thing you spent the last 2 hours trying to figure out is like, it's that thing. And then it's in there forever. You're a master of that one weird flexbox function. And you do that a million times and you are the world's best web designer. But that's the kind of, that feels like the process to me anyway. Solomon, are you considering something like evaluating portfolios? I believe that will be really helpful to see your feedback. We did that actually for a little while on bringyourlaptop.com. Yeah, we did it. Stephen Butler and me were doing that. And yeah, we did it for a little while. We have got a step-by-step list. If you are a subscriber on Bring Your Laptop, jump on to the Contact Us. And Stephen has got kind of a checklist that we've got. We're not doing live reviews at the moment. It's something that we are looking at to do with maybe Sarah Parkinson, and help us kind of review portfolios live kind of event like this. That's kind of something we're doing, thinking about doing. Grace Higgins, do you have a course that covers marketing email campaigns, or can this course be applied to emails too? Have a lot of questions about emails lately. I haven't done an email course in a long time. I used to teach them, but it was kind of more HTML4 kind of inline emails. I don't even know what you can actually get away with in emails these days. Probably the same amount that before. Yeah, I don't have an up-to-date course, and I probably won't. And no, the Web Design Essentials won't. It'll help you, like, you could take what you learn from it and then totally figure out how HTML emails work, and you'd have to kind of try and mush them together. That's what I did when I learned them, because you're like, okay, this is web design, what you're allowed to do, and these are the slim things you can do in HTML. So you kind of like take this wealth of knowledge and turn it down to this tiny bit for emails, but it will give you all the tools you need to then break it down to HTML4. Yes. Tang Dynasty, do you offer certifications? You're late to the party. Yes. Bring a Laptop, we just launched Web Design Essentials certificates. So go check them out there. If you go to byol.com, up the top there's the certificates button. You can click on it and tell you what we do. And also the Web Design Essentials launched today. Last question for today. Should I go to university to become a web designer? Yes, and I wouldn't go do a 4-year degree unless you are 17, because university is awesome, and you might not. I went to be a painter at university and ended up being a graphic designer. So university is a great kind of place to explore design and art and all sorts of coding and different kinds of coding, and you get to meet different mentors. It's great, but it's a long time. And if you are looking for, to kind of, because there's the self-taught option, which is not for everybody. It's the way I like to do it. but like a short certificate. Like I've known a couple of people that have done kind of like year-long, like at specialist web design schools, and that has been like, I feel like that's a really good method to do it. It's like there's structure, you've got instructors that are live there with you, and you know, it's long enough to get a good, you know, like people coming out of it that put the effort into it are employable as a junior web designer. You know, check out the school, make sure it's reputable. You might end up in a crappy class and at a good school. You might end up at a good school in a crappy class. Did I say it twice? Anyway, so just check who it is, what it's, you know, who's running it, anybody else that's done it. Ask for reviews of other people that have done it, and that's a good way of doing it. Or there's the self-taught option, and going and maybe starting with my course, moving on to somebody else's course, find other mentors online to kind of grow it up, do your own work. And there are so many people that are self-taught in the kind of web design and web development world. It's totally a path, and it's, you know, you can't self-teach to be a doctor, but you can totally self-teach. Well, you could. Which doctor? But you self-teach to be a web designer or web developer, like the world's best web developer. Nobody's going to ask where they went to school, what certificate they have, because they have proved what they've done. It's more of that kind of industry than show me your degree or bachelor's or honors or doctorate or master's. So yes. Megan Kelly, love the podcast too, Dan. Sarah is great on it. She is good, eh? I love chatting with Sarah. It makes that podcast a joy for me to do when me and Sarah are chatting. I'm going to visit Sarah in New Zealand when my flights eventually go. And I'm going to try and talk her into doing more with us on bringherlaptop.com. I want her to kind of get involved with maybe some challenges. She's a really good logo design challenge person, I think. And yeah, get more on the podcast as well. It is good fun chatting with her, and she's a wealth of knowledge. If you haven't listened to the podcast, it's on bringherlaptop.com only. It's exclusive. It's part of your membership there. Go check it out. There's a podcast button in the top right-hand corner. But that is it, my friends. I am doing pretty well. My hat is on a bit tight. I'm suffering dearly with COVID, clearly. Just a tiny bit run down. But that is going to be it. Yeah, that is it. I think I did well. It's gone well. So certificates are live on bringherlaptop.com for web design essentials. Check it out if you're new to coding and you're like, no, I don't want to do coding. Remember, go check out Dan. He'll just watch the first little bit of it. I bet you'll be like, oh, okay, I think just a little bit more. And before you know it, you'll be a web designer, coding away. All right, thanks everyone. Have a great evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are. Haere rā. Click the button.